Welcome to this video, which hopefully will help students have a more clear understanding of the items involved in the very first Math 140 test. Please note on this first slide that the makeup tests, if you are absent on test day, will be done during non-class hours. You cannot make up a test under any circumstances during class time on that Monday, Wednesday, 5:30 to 7:30 block. You can do it before or after or during another day if you prearrange it. Let's get to the test review itself. This test, once I get past, here we go, just having a little trouble getting to it. The test consists of two parts. Forgive me for reading on Blackboard. Hopefully I'm going to, again, elucidate on the items you need to focus on more specifically. The first part will be done on Blackboard because it will involve less calculations, maybe some tiny calculations where you can just show the answer, but most of it will just be recalling a lot of facts. The second part will be on regular paper, the standard classroom sheets of paper, and you'll have to show your work there. There is nothing done on MyMathLab at all. The tests are not done. I create them myself. Your calculators are allowed on the test, whether you use the one on the internet or whether you use your own personal calculator. That's fine, as long as each student understands that if he or she goes anywhere else online other than the calculator, that would be considered dishonest, because that lends the possibility of looking at other sites, and that would be unfair to other students. The academic policy is enforced, and I'm very strict about cheating unapologetically. The test guidelines, basically, the test is not that long, but some people need lots and lots and lots of time because of anxieties or nerves or methodologies or whatever. The test has a combined 3-hour time limit. Again, it shouldn't take nowhere near 3 hours. It will begin at 6:30 during the second hour class, not earlier. Please don't ask for an earlier taking of the test. You have a maximum of 1.5 hours on the Blackboard part. Once you finish with Blackboard and shut it down, you can't go back because the test is submitted, and a maximum of 1.5 hours on the written part. Now again, if you finish early with Blackboard, then you can use that extra time on the handwritten part if you want to, where the word problems are concerned. Under no circumstances, unless you have computer hardware problems, I do not answer any questions during the test. I don't interpret questions. I don't help students. You have all kinds of opportunities to study and to look at this review, so it's very silent, and that way I can focus on Blackboard and on any kind of academic honesty issues that I might have with students. So please don't ask any questions during the test. They will not be accepted. The test will cover chapters 2, 3, and 4 from the book, and hopefully you'll have all of your homework back if you've done it, and I will have it graded so you can have that back to study. It will involve any kind of lecture notes and lab assignments from the class. You want to focus on the metric slides and any other slides that I had on Blackboard. You will want to look at the chapter 4 questions about the federal government, that last little sheet. You also want to look at the credit card exercises as well. When I say MyMathLab, the basics, you really don't have to focus on that so much. I wouldn't worry about that as much, but just if you need something to practice, you can. And of course, I mentioned already the credit card exercises from the chapter 4 sheet that I went over in class, and you had an exercise to do for one of your homework assignments. The test does not cover chapter 5, chapter 6, or chapter 7. So if we're running into those homework assignments while the test is being done, they will not be covered during this test, and I want to be sure you eliminate that. Very specifically, I will provide for you all the formulas that you need on the test in terms of the built-in formulas. Now, I'm not going to give you, well, let me take that back. You will be provided the formulas that you had in chapter 4 for calculating loans and interest and stuff like that. You can use the internet calculator if you want to, and you can use your phone calculator as long as I know that you're not going to other sites. I will give you every conversion that you need for metric system units, so you don't have to memorize any of those. A lot of people will take a test and then they become real nervous when they leave. They think, oh my gosh, I failed the course, I'll never make it. Remember that our semester average is based not on just 3 tests, but your homework, your attendance, what you do online, and eventually a semester project that I will mention in July. So this test only counts about 1/6 of your semester average, so nothing to be panically about unless you made like a 5 or something. But if you've been doing the other parts of this course as listed on this slide very faithfully, you should be fine. Do you know my definition of mathematics? I repeat in almost every session. You need to know that definition. what mathematics is. Mathematics is a system of, you need to know the definition. Do you know the everyday metrics? Can you tell me, for instance, that the gram unit is about the weight of a dollar bill, that the height of a door handle is roughly 1 meter? Can you know those common sense ideas that are from the slideshow? Do you know the contents of the worksheet about the federal government and Social Security, the credit card example from the Chapter 4F assignment? Do you know the uses of percentages? Just some general knowledge right there. And again, the two parts. Part 1 is on Blackboard, 50 points. They're really short answer kind of questions, some listing possibly, and I'll be specific with those in just a few minutes. There are some small computations that don't take a lot of calculator difficulty to do. The larger calculations will be on Part 2, which is the paper section that's worth 50 possible points. There are 10 word problems in that area, and I'm dealing with the topics that are mentioned in this slide: tips, mileage, gas costs, sales tax, discounts, both kinds of interest, simple and compound, savings and loan payments, absolute and relative change, credit card finance charge, and average daily balance. Now, don't count those words to get 10 problems, but they'll be on those 10 topics, and that's what you want to focus on. Specifically in the book, in Chapter 2, if you're looking at Chapter 2A, you want to look over the quick quiz, especially number 1, number 3, number 5. Review question number 4, which asks you what the basic units are for length, mass, time, and volume, the metric units, not the English ones, and focus on problems number 25 and 45 in the basic concepts and skills section. That's on page 88, I believe, and it deals with area and volume. You've done some of these on your homework. In Chapter 2B, you want to look over the basic skills and concepts question number 36, and that involved where two people were taking a 3,000-mile ride across the country, and their car tanks held a certain amount of gallons of gas, and how much would each one cost. You want to be familiar again with the metric slideshow. Can you take your weight and convert it to kilograms? Can you take your height and convert it to centimeters? And I plan to do a real quick illustration of that in class. Nothing difficult or traumatic at all. You'll find it very easy. There is nothing on section 2C, no puzzles at all. If you study those, you are completely wasting your time. In Chapter 3, Chapter 3 opens up with percentages, and on the very top of page 121, that top area, it gives the 3 ways that percentages are used in the real world, and you had best not answer fraction, decimal, percent. That's the way you can write the number, but the uses of them are different. In the bookwork, the classwork in section 3A, you want to be sure to look over quick quiz number 1, number 2, and number 3. That involves absolute change and decreasing or increasing percentages. You want to look at the does it make sense questions number 8 and number 11. Know that when you increase something by 100%, that it doubles. When you increase something by 200%, that it triples. Problems 49, 75, and 97 involve absolute and relative changes. That's number 49. Number 75 is a problem about purchasing a bicycle with a tax rate, and number 97 involves an exercise involving the tip. When the dinner and tip are combined as one price, how can you break it apart and find out what the tip was and what the original cost of the meal was? Look for a discount exercise 2. For example, there may be a pair of pants, pair of jeans that are discounted 20%. What would be the discount and what would be the new price of those jeans? In section 3B, you want to look over scientific notation. Can you convert the 2 numbers that are listed on this slide, 340,000, to scientific notation? Can you convert the number decimal 00045 to scientific notation? Can you take the national debt, and this is an older slide, I think now the national debt is really like $17 trillion, but regardless of the number, could you convert this to scientific notation if you had to? And in Chapter 4, there will be no exercises on budgeting from section 4A. Again, part of this reason is the time factor. I can only give so many problems that you can do on a test in a certain time limit, so something has to be left out. However, section 4B, we get into interest. You want to know the definition of simple and compound interest, and that's listed on page 13, review question number 1. It asks for the definitions of simple and compound interest and which one gives you more money, which obviously we mentioned in class is compound interest. You want to look at a couple of exercises in that section. Number 51 and 52 that you did in class involve simple interest. Number 70 is a good example with compound interest. In fact, that should actually say number 63 through 70, and they're all the same kinds of problems. So you want to be sure you're familiar with those exercises as well. And I'm actually looking at 2 screens. You don't see me behind the scenes, but I'm actually making a correction to my slideshow online for you, because I will put this PowerPoint slideshow on the internet so you can look at it on Blackboard. If you look at section 4C, we've got examples of savings plans, and the examples of savings plans are on page 217, and those would be examples such as an IRA loan or a 401k, individual retirement account. And I suggested a couple of problems, number 19 and number 21, where you use the formula to find out how much you'll have in savings if you invest so much a month. And again, I'll provide these formulas on the test for you. In section 4D, which is the final section, well, I take that back. An example of loan payments on top of page 236, that would be, or the middle of page 236, you'll have housing loans, loans for a car, student college loans would be examples using this formula. And if you go to page 250 and look at problems number 15 and 21, those are examples that you've done in class. Don't forget also to look at the credit card exercise on the brown sheet that I gave you. I worked one in class and gave each of you a copy. There's one on Blackboard, and of course there's the brown sheet where you did the work for me. 4F is the little worksheet or big worksheet, and that says blue. Last year they were blue, this year they are brown, so I need to change that to brown. Sorry about that. And focus your study only on questions 1, 6, 7, 9, 10, and 11. Don't look at everything or you'll just stress yourself out. I'd rather you look at what I ask you to look at, and that's the purpose of the review in this video, so that you can be very specific and I can be specific with you about what to study. If you do more than that, then you've overstepped your bounds and you've studied more than you need to. The test questions will only deal with portions of a list. For example, as I said, there are 5 categories where the government collects its money, and you might have to only name 3 of them. So if you learn all 5, your chances of getting 3 of them or 2 of them would be right. There may be a true-false question that says, true or false, in the year 2020 the Social Security is supposed to run out and the government will have to find a way to get those monies back into the account, true or false. Those kinds of questions. Again, don't stress over it. A lot of people do better with these kinds of questions than they do with a lot of math computations, so I tend to mix those on these tests. Again, don't forget the credit card exercises on the last page of the brown sheets. I change these every year to different colors, and I'll have a corrected copy of this online for you when I put the slideshow up there. I will provide a practice calculator problem for you that will have both the problem and the answer. Now you have to know how to use your calculator ahead of time. I'll have an answer so you can be sure that it works correctly, but if you get on the test and your calculator doesn't work, if it runs out of batteries, then I really can't do anything for you except to say go online and use the one on the internet, which I'll provide for you. I'm more concerned with how you set up the problem than just the answer. Therefore, you want to be careful about that. You need to show the units. Some of you are still a bit stubborn about that. If it says that the answer is in miles per gallon, write 48 miles per gallon. If you write just 48, you will not get full credit. If you write just the answer, I doubt I will give you full credit. I can't really give you partial credit if you write an answer for one of those loan problems, because I want to see what your logical thinking, what your steps are. And I've said that all through the semester, so please coordinate your efforts and cooperate with me and don't become stubborn about it, because that's the rule that I have on my tests and in my homework. I can't really answer the question about is the test hard, because that's up to the individual. Some people think every test in math is hard. That's just because of their fears or their weak area. Some people say everything is easy. The answer to this question, therefore, is in your hands. I can say that it's fair. I've told you exactly what's on there, and I always keep my promises. I'm well known for that. The test is thorough as far as the review. If I say something's on there, it will be. If I say something is not on the test, it will not be there, and you have to trust me or stress yourself out studying unnecessary material. And that concludes the review. If you have any questions, of course, please contact me by email, by Blackboard message, or in class.